Hello, firefighters! Hello, firefighters! Let's light a fire! Only this time, instead of firefighters coming to the rescue and putting the fire out, firefighters are going to come to the rescue and add fuel to the fire because we have a fight we cannot afford to lose. And you're going to be part of it. If I can find someplace to put that, thank you. Thank you, Mr. President, for your nice introduction. A year ago, as was indicated, I led all 14 Wisconsin Democrats to leave the state of Wisconsin in order to stop what was called a budget repair bill. Now, this budget repair bill had a lot of bad things in it, but the worst thing it had was stripping away the ability of public employees to bargain for wages and working conditions. And to recognize how serious this is you have to look at Wisconsin's long history of labor innovation. Wisconsin was the first state to adopt workmen's compensation. Wisconsin was the first state to adopt unemployment insurance. Wisconsin was the first state to give public employees the right to bargain. And that has worked very well in Wisconsin. When sacrifices are needed, public employees have stepped up to the table. But when things are going well, they negotiate. When things are not going right in the workplace, there's a negotiation. These are hard negotiations. Those of you from Wisconsin know that. But we work things out. We negotiate. We respect each other's position. That's all been thrown out with Governor Walker. He thought that he could divide public employees by granting an exemption for the union busting provisions for public safety workers, firefighters, and police. He thought he could demonize public employees and make them the scapegoat, make them the enemy. He failed. He failed. Firefighters and law enforcement, the public safety officers that were being exempted, joined with their brothers and sisters in the other part of the public sector unions and stood up on the second day. On the first day after we left the state, the firefighters showed up with their bagpipes, with their drums, with their uniforms, and I can tell you the people of the state of Wisconsin that were there around the Capitol had tears in their eyes because they recognized that there was unity. The AFL-CIO mobilized and showed up. There was solidarity across the union labor movement. There was solidarity with ordinary citizens of the state of Wisconsin. Young people, old people, students, people who had no connection to the labor movement, but they did have a connection to a sense of fair play. I think one of the most telling signs from that time was an elderly woman who held up a sign that said, "Now you've pissed off Grandma." And the occupation was peaceful, emotional, fervent, but peaceful. Food was delivered. There was a local pizzeria that got contributions from all over the world that delivered pizza every single day to the people who occupied the Capitol. There was first aid stations. There was child care facilities. And when they were trying to be shut down because they were not licensed child care, it turned out every one of those people in that child care facility was licensed. There were cleaning crews. The crowds grew to over 100,000. And it not only energized Wisconsin, it energized people all across the country. At one point, there was rallies and sympathy in every single state capital in our country. There were rallies in the capitals of other countries. And why was it so powerful? Why was it so powerful? Why did this appeal to the common sense of decency? It's because workers were united. Workers were united. The effort to try to divide the working men and women of our state did not work. The people of this entire country recognized what was at stake. Unless you were listening to Fox News, that is, and then Fox News identified them as thugs, or tried to, as thugs and slobs and being from out of state, being hippies and being violent. But the truth was far from that, and I think the people saw that. Governor Walker and his allies tried everything they could think of to either trick us or force us to come back into the state. The reason that this worked was not because we had a majority. We didn't. But we had what was known as a fiscal quorum, or we could deny a fiscal quorum because the union-busting provision was put into a bill that was a budget repair bill that had a fiscal effect. In order for the Senate to take up any bill that had a fiscal effect, required a quorum of 20 members. Well, guess what? Governor Walker and his allies only had a quorum of 19. So because we were unified, because we were solid, we were able to deny that quorum while the citizens of Wisconsin and the citizens of our nation rallied to demonstrate their support for working men and women. And the president of the Wisconsin firefighters, Mahlon Mitchell, was all over the state. You saw him earlier today, mobilizing workers, mobilizing common men and women. In fact, my own local chapter, Joe Conway, is Joe Conway in the audience? The president of Chapter 311? Where is he? Joe, stand up. He's your new vice president. With the help of the National Union, after we came back, he presented each one of us, each one of the 14, with a symbol of the unity of the 14 Democratic senators and the working men and women as represented by the firefighters. Harold Schaitberger was huge in this effort. Rich Duffy from the International, Tom Miller, Secretary-Treasurer, and Kevin Connor. I can't thank you enough for the work not only that your union did in Wisconsin, but what your international union did last summer and is doing today. Thank you, thank you. Now, President Schaitberger indicated that there's been a nice trend in Wisconsin. A year ago, the Democrats were in the minority by 5 votes, by 5 members. At the end of August, after the recalls, we were in the minority by 1, 5-1. 10 days ago, we were tied. In June, we're going to have another set of recalls. I like the way this thing is going. You know, I like the way it's going. But this is more than a political campaign. It is a political campaign. It is a campaign for the survival of all that we hold dear, about respect for working men and women, about respect for the middle class, about respect for our neighbors. We are in danger of being overrun by a corporate management that is inherently corrupting. When your only bottom line is profits, that justifies almost anything else that might seem to be in the way of profits. Smart corporations recognize that there's more than one bottom line. There's profits, sure, but there is the quality of work and the respect for workers and the community in which your corporation operates, whether that be a national, state, local, or international. There's a recognition that you have a responsibility to protect the environment, that the clean air and water belongs to all of us. It is not something to be exploited for profit and at our detriment. So what happens when you only look at the bottom line? You repress workers, you destroy the environment, and you repress the ability of the local units of government and your state government to invest in the kinds of public services that are so important in a civilized society. What has happened over the last 30 years is the top 1%, there's been a transfer of wealth. The top 1% have been able to transfer the wealth to where now they now own over half of the wealth in the country. And they can use that vast wealth to recruit and retrain corporate acolytes to run for political office, fund their campaigns, and brainwash through national television you and I and the rest of the public. But the American public is no longer asleep. We are paying attention. You are paying attention. You are wide awake, and your colleagues are wide awake. We have an unprecedented opportunity to restore our democracy back into the hands of the people where it belongs. Sure, they have the money, and they've relied on that, and they're going to invest big time. But what do we have? We have the people. We must stand together. We must persevere. The race will go to those who persevere, and we must succeed. Failure today is not an option. It is not an option because we may never have this opportunity again when the entire country is awake to the threats that face us. Together we can win. Together, we will win. Together, we can turn back this attack on workers. We can, again, invest in the public goods that are so essential to a civilized society. Good schools, public safety, and providing an economy that provides economic security for the vast majority of our citizenry. There's one word, though, that's absolutely essential to making this happen. And this is a word that everybody in the labor movement knows. And that word is solidarity. How do we win? Solidarity. How do we win? Solidarity. How do we win? Solidarity. Thank you very much.